Okay, let's dive in. Welcome, everyone, to this deep dive where we're really getting into a fascinating question about tech's future.
Specifically, the big race towards artificial general intelligence, AGI.
Exactly. You shared some really insightful material that gets right to the heart of it, asking if you're the first to build AGI, does that automatically mean you win long term?
It seems like it should, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, common sense says you build something that powerful, you dominate, but the dynamics outlined here,
Yeah.
much more complicated.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to unpack those maybe surprising factors that pop up as these things develop.
hmm
Look beyond just the initial, hype.
Absolutely. So let's start with that initial picture, the obvious one. First mover in AGI, it looks like a game over advantage, right?
Totally. The sources compare it to the early internet or smartphones. You grab that market share first.
You set the standards maybe everyone else has to follow, and you just hoover up resources, talent, money, data.
It's just incredibly fast. Yeah, the first companies could enter this, unprecedented phase of dominance, reshape everything almost overnight.
But here's where it gets really interesting. There's a kind of paradox that seems to emerge almost immediately.
Right. The sources point out that once these AGI systems are truly capable of really automating complex stuff, driving innovation,
Uh-huh.
the users, the people using the AGI, suddenly have this incredibly powerful tool they can use to build their own advanced systems.
So the tool itself becomes the thing you use to compete against the original provider.
Potentially, yeah. The tool becomes a platform for building new, maybe even rival tools.
Which naturally leads to the business question. If
Yeah.
you built the AGI, your instinct is probably lock it down, protect the IP.
Of course. Limit access, limit capabilities. Why would you arm your competitors?
But the thinking here is maybe that's harder than it sounds once the service is out there, even in a limited way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If it offers real power, resourceful people, smaller teams, they'll likely figure out ways to leverage it, to build on it. It might be very hard to keep it fully contained.
Okay, so if the core intelligence starts to spread, or at least its capabilities can be leveraged, where does the real bottleneck become?
That's the key shift.
Yeah.
It moves away from the AI software itself towards something much more, physical, foundational.
Like,
Access to the sheer computational power needed. We're talking hardware, the actual chips, the servers, and the energy. Just massive amounts of energy to run these things.
right, the power demands are astronomical.
That's what starts defining the real sort of geography of power in this AGI future. Who controls the compute and the energy?
Okay, the energy thing. One point raised was that this might sort of self-correct over time.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea that as the AGI gets smarter, it could figure out more efficient ways to run itself, manage its energy use better.
So maybe less of a permanent roadblock?
Perhaps.
Mhm.
It's framed as something that could become partly self-solving. But then there's the other piece.
The hardware, the manufacturing,
And that looks like a much, much tougher nut to crack, especially semiconductors.
the fabs, the supply chains.
Exactly. The sheer complexity, the unbelievable cost of building cutting-edge chip factories, the specialized global networks involved. It's a massive barrier.
Even for the current tech giants, it's a huge constant challenge.
Right. So a new player, even one with a clever AI approach, can't just decide to build their own advanced chip manufacturing from scratch. Not easily, anyway.
So for a while at least, anyone new coming into the space, they're going to be really dependent, aren't they?
Heavily dependent on the existing chip makers, the big cloud providers who have the server farms, the established software platforms.
It's like starting a new car company. You might have a revolutionary design, but you still need engines, tires, electronics from major suppliers. You rely on that whole ecosystem.
Precisely. You're plugged into that existing infrastructure.
But looking even further out, there was this other fascinating possibility mentioned.
Ah, yes. The idea that maybe, just maybe, a sufficiently advanced superintelligence could eventually help solve even those problems.
Right, like the AI itself could revolutionize how chips are designed or find completely new ways to manufacture them or even invent totally different computing methods.
It's a bit mind-bending, but it suggests even those physical barriers might not be permanent forever.
So wrapping this up, the key takeaway from this deep dive seems to be, yes, being first with AGI gives you a huge initial boost, massive short-term gains.
Definitely sets the initial pace.
But the long-term game, it looks incredibly fluid. Staying ahead might be less about guarding the initial AI secret and more about navigating how the tech spreads.
And adapting as those bottlenecks shift from the AI model to the compute to the manufacturing and maybe beyond.
It kind of echoes other big tech shifts in history, doesn't it? Pioneers start it, but it's the wider access, the unexpected uses people find.
That often drives the really deep transformative changes. Widespread accessibility fosters innovation in ways the originators never planned.
So here's a final thought, really building on that. What does innovation even look like when tools this powerful, this intelligent become more widely available?
Yeah, think about it. What sort of completely unexpected things might emerge when the main challenge isn't creating the intelligence, but just getting access to the physical stuff, the compute, and the power needed to run it? What new applications, what new industries could spring up then?
It really shifts your perspective on where the next big breakthroughs might come from. Well, thank you for sharing these sources and letting us dig into this with you. Definitely keep thinking about this stuff.